Welcome. This is the Trading Pit, your home for sophisticated takes on the crypto markets. It's July 11th, and here in the XC studio is Benjamin and Amit of J Labs Digital. I am your host, Marconi White, and while the market seems to hover in an uneasy state, I'm asking, are there any tokens worth trading today? Let's find out. But first, it's rapid fire, where I look for simple answers to complex questions. Amit, I'm so excited to have you here. It's your very first time in the studio. I want to know, the Euro Cup final set with England versus Spain. Who's going to win?
Has to be England.
It's got to be England? What's the edge there? Where's the alpha? What's your take there? Where's it coming from?
Based on what happened yesterday, the game's Saka, the way he's playing. So we expect a close game, but 2-1 at the end.
I thought it was just going to be a Southgate kind of conversation, but you came in with some actual analysis. Good for you. Benjamin, what % of your net worth should be in Bitcoin at age 30?
70%.
70%, that low. Okay. All right. Well, it's not financial advice, but if you're not doing that, you're never going to make it. Amit, Bitcoin dropped 15% in the last month, while ETF flows are at 800 million in the last 4 days. Can we say that these are diamond hands?
Absolutely.
Easy enough. Look at that. So there's a particular analyst on X. Maybe you should tune in a little bit. I think you have some explaining to do. Benjamin, better ETF narrative, digital gold or world's app store?
If it is BTC, it is digital gold. If it is Ethereum, it is world's app store.
Way to hedge your bets there. I was looking for one definitive answer, but I'm going to give that one to you. Amit, alts have been slaughtered in recent weeks. Should those projects consider reducing their supply if they haven't recovered since the last bull market?
Yes, they should.
Should they just cut it right down the middle? Maybe 50%,
Absolutely.
take it off the top?
Yep. And start all over again.
Just burn
so
it.
Listen, if you're looking for some consulting work, you can show up to our show every week. We can just give you some easy percentages you can throw into the game. Last one here. Benjamin, highest probability trade, fundamentals or technicals?
So fundamentals is why you have to look at an asset. Technicals is how you trade it or manage it.
Okay. Coming in there hot with some good analysis, trying to break down the complex one. Well, let's see. Actually, today, when we get into some of these assets, because we're going to be going over 5 tokens, we're going to see which of the fundamentals or technicals takes hold in the conversation. Guys, it's going to be a little bit of a different format today. Typically, we spend a lot of time in the market analysis up front. We have a little bit of opportunities at the end, but today it's all about the tokens. We've got Amin here who's going to be bringing some of his brain juice to really break down some of what he's seeing in the market. Obviously, Benjamin, you know very well. He's been on the show many times. He's going to be doing the same, really trying to give you a better flavor of what opportunities exist in the market, regardless of what we're seeing. But before they do that, I do want to give a little bit of a market breakdown. We've got some very interesting data that's already starting to appear. We've been talking for weeks now about this consolidation phase that we're in, sitting somewhere between the 50 all the way to 70 range. We've talked about the options looking a little bit unsteady. We've talked a little bit about supply not really moving in the right direction. As I looked this morning, Bitcoin's sitting about 58,000, Ethereum 3,100, Solana 143. But we've got interesting information. As I pointed out, ETFs over the last 4 days alone have brought in $800 million. We got the Dixie that's looking very, very soft. And yet with all that BVIV, the volatility index, we're sitting at about a 50, still very low. So Benjamin, I want to ask you first, what is your take right now on what we're looking at from where Bitcoin and the market's looking? Is this the beginning of a stabilization phase? It's just continued consolidation?
I think for now it is still continued consolidation, but what is also happening after all these bazookas that German government has been launching at the free world, I think we stabilize sooner or later, and as we get closer to the Q4 is when we will see the real impact of all these changes that we are getting. But it is highly possible the worst is over.
Okay. Well, I do want to get a little bit commentary here before we get into some of these tokens about some of the narratives that are making the rounds, right? So you've got Mt. Gox FUD that's coming out. There's this complete unknown of the number of people that as they receive their tokens in kind will actually offload them, and how many of those are sitting already, perhaps being offloaded. You've got what you just talked about, which is Germany, and it's actually one specific, my understanding, it's one specific state within the country of Germany, Saxony, which seized a bunch of Bitcoin, is required to sell it off, and they're just market dumping. And then you've got the miner capitulation, which a few people have talked about. I think Willy Woo is one of them, talking about the fact that you're seeing miners starting to step out. You're seeing the hash rate go down, and maybe we're starting to see a little consolidation. From a trader's perspective, are you putting a lot of stock in looking at those narratives, or does that sort of just not matter as you're looking more at the technicals?
So let us go one by one since you raised this point. If we take Mt. Gox, it's been a decade in the making, and the good thing is finally they're moving funds. So it is expected that within the next 3-month period, people will get settled. But what you need to keep in mind is that a lot of claims were already sold. So many funds, many individuals, and a lot of hedge funds have bought a majority of those claims back in the day itself. So whether they are going to cash it out now as they get settled or not, we have no way to say, right? Because it will be a huge capital gain for them as well. So will they sell it? No idea. What they could potentially do, use it as a collateral and borrow against it. Will they? Yes, high chance, because if these are funds who basically buy claims on a long-term perspective, there's very good odds that they use it as a liquidity engine. So Mt. Gox, I think we have to worry a little less. If we see that in the order flow, then we can actually assume that it's going to get worse. But it doesn't seem to be the case since the time the money started moving around. So I think I'll put that aside for now. What was not expected is the German government selling. Whether it is a state selling or not, I don't care. I hate Germany now. Okay, so they started selling. But the good thing is, initially it was difficult to determine how their pattern is, because they had to make more transactions before we could deduce what is basically going on. What we realized when we started digging into those transactions in a blockchain level and looking at the explorers and so on, we also noticed a lot of them were labeled as OTC. Like it went with the specific label that it is OTC, right? So it seems almost 60 to 70% that they have been offloading has been OTC deals that they've been doing. So either the amount was already sold before the money was moved. So whoever was the OTC dealer, if he was supposed to sell it, he has sold from his stack and he got it settled. Or whatever that remaining 30 to 40% is probably still open for selling, or almost, the market has understood later on that, okay, the impact is going to be much lesser. We already liquidated the amount of longs as equivalent as it was during the FTX dump. And there is a bit of cool lock across the board. So maybe let's not panic too much. So it is a potential understanding that has gotten into the market. It's not more hopium, but it's more like a better understanding of what the selling is doing. Because for the past 5 days also we've been seeing the selling happening, but it has not impacted the price as crazily as it did on 4th or 5th of July, right? So there is definitely a market maturity in understanding how these transactions work. So the panic is much lower. The next thing is there is a huge cool off in dollar index, and we already saw a bullish a bearish signal on dollar index and a bullish signal on the risk assets yesterday night. So that's something to keep in mind when whether we have to worry there is a larger dump to come or not. The other point is a lot of assets they look bottomed, even though some of them look really crappy, but they do look bottomed. We are seeing a mean reversion bounce across the board. Whether it will sustain or not, we will know in the next few days. At the very least, Bitcoin has to close above 60K on a daily level and potentially also recover it on a weekly level. And if it does, I think it's a good to go sign across the market, across the boards.
I think that's a good synthesis of everything that we just heard. If we see some of this momentum, we're able to close above the numbers you just gave. we could see some green shoots before we even get into September, maybe potentially in August is what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Can you repeat it?
I was saying if we can see some of this momentum, some of the selling from Germany starting to fade, we've got a little bit of momentum start to be gained. If you can get above the price levels that you just mentioned, then we could start to see some momentum potentially as early as August, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, yes, it is possible. It is also possible that July is very bullish. August, we probably come back down and retest 60K or 59K again, form another higher low or a base. And maybe the initial setback that we get from ETF flows for Ethereum side. Remember that somewhere this month we are also going to see Ethereum ETF start trading. So we don't know what type of a demand will come there. And if the grayscale Ethereum starts converting and selling, and if that is going to cause an outflow, how far is BlackRock and everyone else Ethereum ETF is able to absorb? We have to see what it does. So far, we don't see a huge demand in front running, right? So we have to wait and see how that plays out. But similar to what happened with BTC, if we see a demand flow in after the ETF, after an initial cool off, then that would mean that after a correction in August, we can start slow grinding all the way up the same way we did last year in Q4.
Exciting times for all the traders who've been waiting, who maybe took your advice early on and sold in May and went away. Amit, I want to bring you up here. Anything to add to that analysis from a market perspective? Anything else that you think has kind of caught your eye that's giving some indication of where this market may go next?
So the way I look at the market is more from the statistical perspective, as in I try not to use many of the indicators. What I try to do is basically use the price and the volume and see what is happening in the market, or does it give any signals. So if you can can you see my chart?
Yeah, let's bring that up.
So this is basically Panda terminal that we use for our analysis. Basically, this is our platform. So I try to analyze more price and the volume and see what the price and the volume. Most of the times you see a divergence, then you see what is happening in the market. But in conditions like these, right, this is basically very nice to see when you can see where the bottoms are and when the bottoms are forming.
Producers, can we zoom in on this chart? I think there's a lot of information here I want to be able to highlight here.
So basically, I look at the price and look at the volume and then try to create a rolling average between the price and the volume and see what the rate of change is. And there are certain times it's very good for finding out where the bottoms and where the tops are. So generally, when you see a volume like this one, where there is a big volume drop, so this price drop and a pickup in the volume, so it's both of them are working together. And once that is formed, there is a cool off. So this was a clear point for me to say, okay, the bottom is in. There'll be a retest, and then it'll start moving up. So that's what you see here. Slowly, you see a volume starting to pick up, and the trade, or basically the price, is behaving with respect to the volume, not the other way around. So there is no divergence here. So price and the volume, and this is not looking on a daily frame. This is a rolling average over a 14-day period on the price or the rate of change on the price and the volume. So from my perspective, right, this is if I look at it. So the price and the volume are basically moving simultaneously in hand to hand. And then this is basically looking at the CVD perspective. So what are the whales doing? So this is what basically these filters, right, varies from token to token. For BTC, the way I see it is basically market makers move in this range of 10K to 100K, because this is looking at the data based on what is happening on the minute level and how the trades are moving. And this is the range where you see the big trades that come in and then actually form the basically you can say they form the pattern, basically where the direction will go, what the direction future trading direction would be. So you can see this from my perspective, right? The way I see it is the whales are moving in, market makers are doing their thing, what they do. So that is inconsequential when these guys start to move. And now the rate of change on the volume and the price are both in the positive direction. So I think the market is range bound. It's not going to break out to 90K straight away. So putting some more perspective, basically, if you look from the charts perspective, right, from the all the way, just few technicals. So this is basically all the way cycle low to cycle high. If you try to look at it, and then just to put a simple fib on, when the price was trending at this point, this is basically looking at a 12-hour time frame. I was hoping for a retest at this level, and it has very neatly tested this level, cleared the any trades that was sitting here. Now it's trying to move up. Still, I won't say it will go all the way to the cycle high. What I would try to do is basically, if I'm a betting man, I would take a long here. It's not, of course, not a financial advice, because the risk reward is quite great. I mean, if you take a long here, you have a clear invalidation below and a clear TP on the top, and then basically it's your 200-day moving average. So even if I take a long here, it's basically, even if I take one BTC here, still I got a 4 grand coming in. Basically monthly open and quarterly open, it's going to hit 63K is where I would be interested in looking at gigalongs or not. But this is what I think. It's a range bound from here all the way up to 63. Then, as Bhagesh said, Benjamin was saying, going back to 60K and all the way back up. So it's basically going level to level and see how it is performing and how it is behaving.
Man, that was a great breakdown. So what you're saying is it looks like right now there's some good opportunity from a BTC perspective to the upside for a good trade all the way up to about 63K. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. Benjamin, I want to ask you, is there anything that you'd add to that analysis? Anything that you're looking at that's maybe giving you a bit of pause before you jump into a long here?
Yeah, if you look at my chart, I'm going from the spot data. He's approaching it from futures data. So, quite interestingly, I have a different perspective over here. Not diagonally different from his, but over here, I would pause. I would pause taking longs right now. I'll tell you why. Because on the order book level, I'm seeing a lot of selling pressure. In this range of bid-ask, in the order book, in this tight range, if you see this negative value that I'm showcasing, if this yellow line, it keeps going down, there's a lot of selling pressure that's appearing in the order books. That's why you also see this yes symbols, which is the red yes symbols. It is a lot of selling pressure that's starting to appear over here. And this is all a lot of buying that happened below 55K in the last weeks. And right now it is possible there is a little bit of take profit situation that's going on in the order flow. We also saw a very good CPI, and that has also resulted in a very good sweep of 59K. So right now we can see a cool off. This can come all the way down to again 57K, go sideways and slow down. So as far as the order books are concerned, I think we can see a slowdown period, because if you see the previous times when you got this sell signal, let's say even if you, let me zoom in over here. Even if you go to in May, 21st of May, you saw the similar behavior when there was a lot of selling pressure. It's not perfect, but when such type of selling pressure comes in after a consolidation, then a little bit of risk off. But if you're on a low leverage, let's say like 0.5x or 1x, then what Amit says can work out very well. You can put a long over here, target 65K, put a stop loss like 56K. It can very well work out. It's still around risk reward of 2. So that's still a great trade. But since I'm getting these selling pressure signals over here, I would probably take some profit. If I bought over here in this zone, I would definitely take some profit, because it's around 8-9% from the bottom signals that we got on 5th and 8th. So it's not a bad idea to take some profits over here. This is on BTC, but
right. Yeah, no, we're just talking BTC right now. So you're saying take some profits. When would you look to re-enter that trade? Or are you going to have to wait to see some more data materialize over the coming week?
We need to wait and see.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to wait and see. But at the very least, I want to recover on a daily level. I want 59K or 58,500 to be recovered. Like we need to close above this existing level where we are trading 58,500 tonight, or let's say tomorrow night. So if that happens, that is the first sign of very good strength. So far, we've seen some strength, sure, but we also were extremely oversold on a lot of technical indicators, right? So we are basically seeing a 8-9% mean reversion bounce happening right now on BTC. We saw similar type of mean reversion bounce happen everywhere. So whether this has any legs or not, we need to see where it is able to retest and hold up. That retest is still pending. We are seeing selling pressure coming in on the order flow already. So it's better to wait a little bit, see some confirmations, and then
okay,
we'll look to see how to play it.
Well, we got 4 more tokens that we have to get through. So
Yeah.
this is
Perhaps
good
let's get
analysis.
let's get to Ethereum, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to summarize here, we've got Ahmed saying that there may be a position here all the way up to the low 60s. And Benjamin saying maybe it's a good time to be taking some profits, looking for some daily and some weekly closes to get a little bit more of that momentum. Let's switch over to Ethereum and talk a little bit about what we're seeing there. We've got the ETF news that's coming out. We still have a lot of people debating how big that's going to be. Some people downplaying the impact of the ETF in the coming weeks. Others, I've seen some of the calls just this last week starting to say that this could be bigger than BTC. Regardless, the question is, what is the trade right now? Is this a time to be getting in? Is this a time to be exiting, staying neutral? Who wants to start,
Ethereum,
Ahmed or Benjamin? Who's going first?
I can go first.
Okay.
Give some breathing time for Amit.
Well, it's his first time here, but he's rocking already. All right.
Yeah.
You better come up with a good case here. I want stone cold.
Yeah. So Ethereum, I think, as you see, in June we had, I think in May we had the news that it's going to be approved. Everyone was confident it won't be approved in summer. So we saw this huge spike, but everything was distributed over the 2-month period because the speed at which they were making approvals, documentation, everything was so slow, but that was expected because it is summer and they had to take their own time to do it. We saw Ethereum give up all the front running gains that it gained in May, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it came down all the way to where it started, this buy level on 15th of May. So it went down all the way to 2871. So all of that OI, all of that crazy buying that happened in that zone was all distributed. It came back down. It retested if there is a demand at that level. Fortunately, there is demand at that level that we are making higher lows and we are trending up. We are seeing still some selling pressure come on the order flow level over here. So to me, it seems to me that we could just consolidate about 2,800 till 3,250 for still some time until we get clarity on the ETF flows. I don't see anything that says screamingly bullish that if you don't enter right now, you're going to lose your family's generational wealth. Like not at this instant, perhaps at least.
I love my grandma now.
Yeah, grandma circuit. But right now we are seeing the selling pressure. So I think we might see a very good amount of pullback. How deep? I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. But some very smart fellow today went ahead and did a lot of buying. Some whales did buy today. There was some strong buying today. If I look at the trade count in 100K to 10 million range, somebody went and bought a really good amount of spot on Ethereum, all the way into the resistance levels. That's why we saw it immediately pull back down from 3250 to 3170. That's why we are seeing more selling pressure later coming from market makers. So this fellow basically tried to buy into a resistance and market makers are selling into it.
All right.
I don't know who basically got trapped, but yeah.
So just to summarize here, you're expecting some consolidation at the 2,800 to 3050 level, really around waiting for these ETF flows to really materialize, get some sense from the market, how strong they're going to be. So really this is a good time to kind of be waiting with some dry powder, looking for that entry maybe over the next couple of months as that materializes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this quarter is going to be a time for looking for entries. It's not a time to say that, I'm going to just go and touch grass, that type of conversations. This is time where you basically touch grass, it's fine, but carry your laptop to the grass and sit and keep looking at these buy and sell signals on Panda. That's what I would say.
That's what we like to call a Benjamin holiday. I want to, Amit, I want to get your take and see if it's the same. But before I do that, I just want to say for all those who are listening out there, I see a bunch of views. Definitely, we'd love if you could like and subscribe, or definitely share this broadcast throughout X, wherever you're listening to this. Share this with whomever has an opinion here. We'd love to see if there's some contrasting ideas of maybe the way Ethereum looks right now, if this is a great time to be going uber long, uber bull, or if perhaps you're even bearish, you think it's going to go below 2,800. Definitely would love to hear that take. Amit, what's your perspective here on Ethereum, maybe more from a perpetuals perspective? Are you also looking at a consolidation? Is this a good time to be going long, front running those ETF flows?
Right. I would like to disagree here with on each side of things. So last time we had this chat before as well. So last time when Ethereum was at around 3,600, so that was the start of June. We thought if Ethereum has to move, it will move at that point from 3,400 onwards. And if it has to drop, at that point it was trading at 3,600. It will drop all the way back to 2,800, and from there it will start running up again. And it has basically, if you look on the charts, right, it has worked out to the T. So I would be, if again, the way I look at the market is I'm not looking at giga longs. I'm not looking at basically 50% or 200% gains. What I'm looking at is range to range. So if you look on my chart, right, what I'm sharing, so we have already taken out the biggest value area nodes. Now what we are doing is basically we're trying to move up. And if you have to move up from here, I'm looking at 3,500. And 2,800 test was taken, liquidity was taken, retested, and now it started to move up. And the reason I differ here, basically order book, I don't trust too much because order book is one for show and one for execution. So if the market is showing you its hand very clearly what it is trying to do, you have to assume it's not what it is trying to do. And that's why again go back to looking at what the volume is doing and what the price is doing. Now you can clearly see when you see small uptake in the volume, but the price is slowly trying to drag up, and there is nothing in between, as in there are no high value nodes, there is no, basically not much trading has happened from the footprint chart perspective. I think it's going to basically, it will hit 3,500. That's what I think from here. And yeah, I
Do you have a
see
do you have a time frame, an expectation of when that might happen? Next week, next month?
the way I trade is basically I go week on week trades. I don't trade monthly trades or daily trades. So I start on see what market is doing on Monday, make it form its range, and then start playing within the ranges. And the way I really want to touch upon the trading side of things. Basically, there is no uh, topping the top and bottoming, basically kind of a sniper entries, because your first entry is always wrong. You have to assume that. And then if you can design your trades around it, as in basically if you can assume there will be a drawdown, and then you can design your trade in a way it will be 3%, 4% drawdown, and then you have some stats around it. Basically, when it moves in ranges, how much range it's going to move, and then you play within those ranges, then you get good entries. And then again, you have a target. Basically, you try to hit that target and then go from there. So on each perspective, right? I think, yeah, if you look on my chart, it's 2,800 is very neatly tested. Next, I'm looking at is 3,450. From 3,450, if it plays around, then we are looking higher. Otherwise, yeah, it might come back and test again. But order book, I don't trust.
Okay. Order book don't trust. So what we've got here, we've got Ahmed again, disagreement here, saying we have a chance to get all the way up to 3,500, perhaps even in the next week. And Benjamin's saying, no, slow down. There's time to wait. So I think I'd be curious if you're out there, if you're trading Ethereum, let us know what you think is the next target. If you're looking for more consolidation, or if you think this is going to shoot up from here. Let's get on to the next one.
This is the beauty, basically. So this is the beauty, basically.
Yes.
So I trust in order books a lot. I trust in order books, and I spend a lot of time looking at the books. Amit trusts trade flow. He trusts the actual executed trade much better. So which is why we actually discuss every day and get a different perspective amongst each other, so that we can quash each other's biases and figure out a mutual ground to understand the market as well. And after this discussion, actually, I would like to look at Link, because we have something very interesting to show. Amit, if you can switch to Link as well, I think you have some amazing entries over there that's a very beautiful instrument that people could trade out of.
Yep.
Yeah. Producers, if we can move over and see what Amit's sharing, I'd like to move over to Link. So right now we've got, out of 2 tokens, we've got a divergent view. I love the perspectives there. Now we're now looking at Link, our 3rd token of the day. All right. It looks like we got Link up. Amit, we've got your chart up. What exactly are we looking at here? What are you seeing from an execution perspective?
So what I try to do within Panda is basically try to figure out what are the key events and then how I can trade on those events. So basically you are seeing at the buy signal and the sell signal. And these buy and sell signals are at the back of your volume, price, and the relative change in the volume together. All 3 of them put together, basically producing these buys and sell signals, is basically when your buy volume and the price are at the threshold with respect to the history of the token. So it's basically these are the thresholds. You have a rolling average on the price and then you have a rolling average on the volume. Once it is hitting those extremes, basically you see a reaction. So these buy and sell that you see on the chart, these are those reaction points. So it has reached the threshold point, and the price has reacted the way it has reacted. So that's what we are seeing. If you look at historically, so it has worked out beautifully on Link specifically. Uh, every time, so this is what the statistical side of things is. So once you have a volume reaching certain threshold and the price reaching certain percentage points, it reacts in a way. So this is what that reaction looks like. So that's what we are trying to figure out here, saying this is the reaction, how far the reaction will go. So most of the times, right, you have a percentage move in terms of the reaction. So that's what that trade is showing on the chart. So once it reaches that threshold, this is the reaction, what it looks like. And Benjamin has a very good theory how you can trade this, not exactly trading the token, but in a different way. Over to you, Benjamin.
Yeah. So what we used to discuss back in the day as well when JJ was around is that how can we use some of this order flow information that we are getting on the spot and futures side and execute it in options? Because I don't know how many people know it, but I do not spend much time on digging into options because the metrics basically go ahead on top of my head, right? I don't like to go on a multi-parameter model to use all these Greeks to keep on processing constantly, but then I'm hedging so many times. So I'm more of a directional trader, which I think most of our users know it. So how can we use these metrics to trade altcoins? Okay, you are not sure what to do because the market is looking like shit. It's also Q3 functionality. You are so scared to open leverage because, what if BTC drops to 55K, right? Now, Link is trading somewhere in the $11 to $15 range. And what you see in Amit's chat, you see when you see those the buy signals, and if you decide that, okay, this is a good chart, I want to take up an exposure, but I don't know where to take it. What I realized is that in CoinCall, you have altcoin options. So you can literally go to CoinCall. This buy signal came on 5th. And if you decide and say, okay, let's take a 2-week expiry, July 19th. And if you decide to open a position, if you had bought on 5th, basically it was the signals that you see on Amit's chat basically happened at in Link when it was 50 cents for the call options. If you bought those call options, it went up within this 2-week period all the way to $2. And even now it's trading around 1.5 to 1.35. You literally could have 3x'd your Link investment.
Yeah.
You should consider this as a way to get exposure into altcoins on the short term when the market is not doing well. It is a good entry, but you're so scared that it will still drop 90%, right? Because altcoins have done that before. So how do you trade it in interim? This is where CoinCall comes in very handy in taking up an options trade, even if it's short term, because they have those short term options for expiry. If you bought at 50 cents, you would have 3x it in this 10 days. It's beautiful. It's really good to combine the setups that Amit is showing in his charts using those event models that we have, which is only available in Panda. You can use those models and, innovatively execute trades on altcoin options. So why do you want to go and buy an entire $15 or $12 altcoin and hold it, because when you don't know what is going to happen, rather just go and spend 50 cents.
Yeah.
They're able to get a similar exposure. And if it works out as per our models, and if you see the buy signals on his models is fantastic. On the selling side, sure, you can look at it as a take profit and get out. Don't try to short altcoins in a bull market, but try to use it as a take profit. You would have basically 3x your investment into the coin call option, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So that is the way we have to utilize the Panda tooling in order to play around in a vast variety of instruments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I want to highlight there, CoinCall has been a great partner to actually in the trading pit to date, and they actually just passed their, I believe their 1-year anniversary. So congratulations to them. To those who are asking that question, because so much of the options that we've talked about have been Bitcoin, have been Ethereum, they do offer a large array, and I think they're one of the leaders in the market when it comes to altcoin options. If you haven't checked them out, you absolutely should go over to CoinCall, and we'll link in the description when we're done with the video. With our ref link, it'd be great if you could use that to open an account. But if not, if you're over there already and already have an account, definitely thinking about how you combine some of these strategies that you can, as Benjamin already mentioned, you can get from a terminal or from an analytics engine like Panda with more of the leverage opportunities that you're going to see on using options. And the other point I would add there, if you've got questions about some of the hedging, we do have a lot of trading videos already on the XC Station on YouTube. If you haven't seen that already, definitely go over there, like, subscribe, and check out that entire catalog that we have, the library that we have for trading options. There's a series of strategies down there. And you can also think about how do you actually play that as you start to go into profit? Do you take some of that profit? Do you look at hedging it? There's a variety of ways you can play it. That's kind of the beauty of options. So something to consider. So I think looking at some of the back testing, what I'm seeing from Link is some really good buy signals. I just want to be clear. Are we saying that there's one that's happened right now? Or are we kind of in a waiting period?
So one happened on 5th of July. So that has already happened. That has come in.
Mm-hmm.
So from that point onwards, it has already moved up. So it was at around $10.
Okay. All right. So now this is more of a good take profit moment right now, and then giving the market a little bit of time to kind of dictate where it's going to go next. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. We got a question here from me, man, about Doge. I know we're going to get into that in a little bit. We also got Solana that's on the table as well. Guys, I'm gonna go to you, Benjamin. Which one do you want to go next?
Let's go with Solana. I'll keep it very short, and then we can go into Doge.
All right. Yeah.
Solana.
We got to touch on those meme coins. All right.
Yeah. On meme coins, I'm going to teaser something before I go into Solana. Next week, we'll showcase something really powerful, something that you would have only dreamed of to have in order to trade meme coins, and people are going to love it. You're going to know when to enter, and probably even make like 40-50% of returns per trade on meme coins, but we'll only demonstrate it next week.
Okay.
Today we will talk about what we have. Today we'll talk about what we have on Solana. Solana, I still see very similar behavior when it comes to the order flow. Often it makes me think it is just one god basically ruining all of the order books. We don't know who's that god. So whatever it is, we had similarly very good buying opportunities around 128 zone on 5th of July. And for the past few days, we have been seeing some slightly slow distributions at the 140 range. There's some selling pressure. There's constantly some buggy event or something that happens and it keeps getting sold off. However, if we clear 145, then there is very clear road for Solana to go all the way up even to 160 or 170. So there's good chances that it does something like that. Yeah, that's as far as Solana is concerned. It's very strong compared to other majors. It's held up very well. It did not lose interest. There's still gamblers around. There's still meme coins, which is doing somewhat fine, at least. So yeah, it's not so bad.
Okay. All right. Not so bad. Not a ring endorsement. So sorry. I just want to be clear here. Are you seeing an entry point right now, or are you just kind of riding?
No, not now.
Not now.
No,
Okay. You're waiting for what would be the entry point that you'd be looking for?
130.
130.
We have to
Okay.
see at 130 how it reacts and how's the order books and so on. But
Okay.
130 is not a
Retesting
bad
that
entry.
range.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Honestly,
Okay.
if 120 is lost, we are going all the way down to 70 or 60. But Solana has a very good strength in general. They keep pushing out something or other, which basically brings in more degenerates. It's become a gambling ecosystem, but people love it, so there's no reason to hate it. So I really do think if it keeps making higher lows, then it's going to trend higher. So I'll leave it to Amit what he thinks.
I think
Yeah, I want to bring up your perspective
Yeah.
more from perhaps a perp's point of view.
I think Solana is done. Solana is going nowhere.
You just stuck a fork in this one. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Let's break down the
150.
analysis.
Yeah, I think I'm capping. If you look at my screen again, this is one of the metrics. You can see actually what the price and volume is doing. So price and volume in tandem, where we looked at BTC and ETH, they are in
All
tandem
right.
working up. Now you can see both are in tandem going down.
All right,
And
Amit, hold on a second. Producers, can we get over to the screen? I want to get some of the data that Amit's sharing here. Thank you. All right, what do we got here? What do we got?
right, your price is going to cross that to the lower threshold. That's a 14-day moving average on a price. So once it crosses that, and then the volume starts to pick up, that's telling you it's going to go drop. So what that means is basically on the high value nodes, there is nothing in between. This is all pure air. If it crosses 150, then you're looking at a higher range, 160, 170, but there is no way it's going to cover this. So I think it's going to drop back to 130, 120 level. And from there, we see how it goes. Interestingly, right? If you look at on the Solana on the higher time frames, basically on a 12-hour time frame, it's sitting monthly open, quarterly open, all the basic confluences are there. And if you put a simple fib from right from the bottom to cycle low to cycle high, you see a confluence. That's right at the mid of the entire move. And if it loses 140, right, that's it. We are going to at least to the yearly lows. Then we see what happens there. But if it breaks down here this month, right, if it can't cross 145, yeah, basically I would be interested in Solana after 160 because you got a long way to go up. But if it is not coming here, it's going down.
So would you be looking at coming back? Would it be more, I would say, volume dependent, where you would start to look at that entry point if it breaks below that 140? I mean,
Yeah.
we were talking about that 130 mark. That was what Benjamin just mentioned. But yeah, what are you looking at?
So 130. So if it breaks down 130, that's a weekly open for this week. If it breaks down below, because it's been tested multiple times and it's very weak there, if that breaks down, then yeah, then you're basically looking at 100, and then you see where it goes from there.
Okay.
And that's basically clear on a higher time frames as well. If you put it on a daily time frame, that's where your high value nodes are.
So it sounds like then you're not looking at any positions as well. You're looking for some movement to really give you a indication of where the next buy signal would be.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got two wait and sees for Solana. All right, guys. We've got anything else on Solana before we move to our very last one of the day? Okay. All right.
We've got nothing else. I think he made a good coverage on the counter perspective.
Okay. The last one we got here is Doge Lord. We've got the the king of memes that we want to give a little bit of shout out to. We got Meme Man was asking, he would appreciate a 6 to 12 month opinion on Doge from the level you guys are giving. I'm not sure we're going to go that far, but what's your guys' perspective when you're looking at Doge? Obviously, we've had 2024 has been the year of the meme, but maybe it's starting to get wrung out a little bit. But how does Doge look right now from your perspective, Amit?
I'm just trying to pull up the chart on Doge.
Okay.
Give me one sec.
Yeah, I'll pitch in some thoughts in the meantime on Doge.
Okay.
I think it is seeing a lot of competition from cat coins. So cat coins, statistically speaking, have had only like 10% of the valuation for that entire sector compared to the dog sector, right? So with respect to the market cap. So cats are very mad at people. Cats are really pissed off that they were the queens and Now people are not treating them as they should be. So they're trying to catch up with the dogs valuations. So I think that's what is happening right now. So dogs are going to face a little bit of competition. Nevertheless, if you look at a 6 to 1 month, 1 year time frame, it's not a bad trade to enter at 11 cents and all the way down to even 5 cents. Buy it and hold it. Because at the end, if we see crazy printing and all that happens, Doge will definitely do $1 in this cycle. No, not definitely. No, it's not financial advice. Please don't buy it because of that.
NFA, not financial advice, but
it can.
You think it's going to get some rocket
next.
fuel if we get the levy to break?
I think liquidity. It can get a rocket fuel because see, it's the OG. It's the god of meme coins. I don't think it will be that easy to get rid of it. And 11 cents and 5 cents or even 4 cents is a very fair shot to have some accumulation. But it's not about trading Dogecoin. Like, wouldn't trade Dogecoin. Just buy and hold a little bit. If you believe in the OG meme coins, then this is the best one to go with, and just let it ride. It has very good chances of hitting $1 if the cycle is bullish, and if we definitely do that bull run, that would be my target to exit.
Okay. So really, if we continue to see the bull run, if we get liquidity, the market continues down the path that we're all hoping it will, this could be a good exit point later on. And 5 to 11 cents is kind of some good entry points. Ahmed, I want to come back to you. What's your perspective when you're looking at Doge?
Doge, I think it's going to go down a little bit before it starts moving in any direction.
Oh, meow.
Yeah, because there is no volume. There is nothing happening on Doge. There is no narrative. And as Benjamin is saying, the cats are taking over. So yeah, he will, or the Doge is getting a bit of a competition there. So it's not moving in any direction so far. So looking at the charts, there is a high value node sitting right at $78, $80 or 80 cents. So that's where it's going to go before it can move anywhere. And then there is no volume. The price is going down. Yeah, there is no change. And on the higher time frames, if you look at the chart, yeah, it's way down. It's really tested the yearly low. So it has.
Yeah, there's no compulsive argument to trade it right now.
Yep.
There's no compulsive argument to trade it right now. Like,
this is a great time to be accumulating the dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, it depends how you design your trade. You cannot go into Doge thinking one buy and you will have 100% gains. It has to be basically not, I wouldn't say DCA, but you have to do the pyramiding in the right way so that you see the levels and put the basically orders at those levels. So even if it drops down, right, if you look at it, so it has basically dropped down how much from the yearly high? It has already gone down how much? 60%. So yeah, 70%, 78% is nothing. So from here, if it drops 75%, yeah. So you can basically see to below 89 cents or not 89 cents, a lot lower. So yearly open where I would be interested starting buying in this range and cover this whole range from between yearly open and a cycle low. Then that's where you can accumulate and then see if it breaks down. If your pyramid is right, you can basically cut it off here. And if your pyramiding works out correctly, and if it turns around from here, you got a great trade.
Okay. So there you have it. I think both of you guys are saying you can be looking at some price ranges. Benjamin, you said even from now all the way down to 5 cents. Ahmed, you've argued maybe you can look more at the yearly high, the yearly open as a better price target to start accumulating. And again, this is a small percentage of the bag. There's really nothing behind it that's going to send this forward unless the bull market sustains and continues.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, that is going to take us to the end of the trading pit. We've got a brand new format here where these guys are going to be breaking down tokens, showing the best of what Panda can do. Hopefully you got excited looking at some of the metrics they're able to bring up just in a flash, as well as combining that with some of the opportunities you have through execution, where, if you're using CoinCall or some of your other exchanges to start to execute these trades, there can be great opportunities in the market. So definitely hit the subscribe button to the Exchanging Good channel right here on X. And if you prefer YouTube, definitely we're going to be continuing to stream there as well. But Benjamin, Amit, I want to say thank you to both of you. I would want to give a huge shout out to Amit.
Thank you.
I would say for your first time on the show, you absolutely crushed it. We're going to have to bring you back, particularly because by next week, we're going to know whether or not your bet on England over Spain played out, and then we can trust the rest of your analysis. But with that, I want to say thanks to everybody for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share this wherever you're talking about crypto. As I always like to say, keep a little bit of dry powder. This is Marconi White, signing off.